that. Yep, seems as though.
Yeah.
In any case, hello and welcome to Euripides Eumenides, a theater history podcast. This is the theater history podcast that doesn't take itself too seriously. It is the theater history podcast for people who like bizarre and hilarious stories from history. Mine just all happen to be about theater. And for each episode, I meet with guests from the many different avenues my theater career has taken me down, and I give my guests no idea what we're going to be discussing for the episode. All they know is that we'll discuss a strange story from theater history and perhaps get a better understanding about why we're still doing it after all these years. So welcome to Euripides Eumenides, and I am your host, Aaron Odom. Yay, that's usually when applause comes. Okay, good. Yeah. Joining me today are some friends that will be familiar to the CCD crowd. My good friend Keylee Anderson.
Hello.
Who is the technical theater coordinator here and has been a guest on the show before. And go ahead, crowd, say congratulations because Keylee is getting married soon.
Hey.
Woo!
Thank you.
We're like 16 days now?
Yep.
Oh my
16
God.
days.
Yep. Okay, so you picked the cake, you picked everything else. Awesome, great. And also on our panel is Chuck Roy, a faculty member here who runs Colorado comedy shows, and he's responsible for producing a show we'll be bringing up later on. But Chuck has definitely been around the block as far as comedy is concerned.
I have been doing it for years.
A couple, at least, from what I understand. So what are some highlights? You were telling me a couple of shows you've done?
Oh, sure. Will and Grace, Third Rock from the Sun. Films with Ralphie May and Louis Anderson Presents.
I've heard of those.
I know who those are.
Yeah, I've heard of those.
Yeah.
Those
Louis'
are
mentor. Was
wow.
a huge influence on my career.
Wow. Okay.
And Ralph was just huge. Okay.
Yeah. But joining us specially via Zoom, you may have seen her as new Fiona on the final season of the wildly popular show Shameless. Mary, you ready? Maybe?
Mary Kennedy.
We know what her name is.
We know what
We're
her
trying
name
to make
is.
sure her face is ready to
Mary
go.
Kennedy is an extremely fun
She's going to be joining us from
talented
Zoom. Mary Kennedy.
actress who's joining us on Zoom and may have just stepped away for a moment to celebrate.
Hey, there she
Hey.
is. Mary Kennedy.
You see, there's a writer's strike is over, but the actor's strike is still on. So
Yes.
should she be joining or not? What a conundrum.
And we
No,
just,
I'm here. Sorry,
yeah,
everybody.
I just
got
that
an
news today
audition,
that
so
yeah,
if that
okay.
helps.
So you may have seen Mary before. She was on the wildly popular show Shameless in the 7th season as new Fiona and been around the block. How long have you been doing this for acting and comedy, Mary?
In Los Angeles for 23 years today.
Whoa!
Wow.
Okay.
Happy anniversary.
Oh, happy Hollywood anniversary.
Yes.
And while you may be getting her experience, her expertise here via the wonder of the internet, this audience here will get a chance to see Mary live later this spring when she stops at CCD during the tour of her one-person show that she wrote, Midlife Mood Swing.
Hey.
Yeah, super cool. So, Mary, could you give us just like a brief synopsis of that show?
Well, I am a woman of midlife, and it's about being a mom going through menopause, a mom of 2 teenagers going through menopause, and navigating it with the teachings of my mother, who had a band when I was a teenager, and I was her roadie. So I was not brought up traditionally, but I'm using all of those things to mother and to get through menopause all in one piece. And the lovely Chuck Roy is producing it. So
Yeah.
I'm really glad that I get to visit campus and see everybody.
So, Mary, what's it like touring a one-person show like this? What are some of the things you've taken away from that?
I'm on stage by myself for 53 minutes. There's no bathroom breaks. There's no intermission. There's a water break here and there, but it's all me. It's different. I'm a professional comic as well. It's different than being a stand-up comic because you don't want the audience heckling you on stage. So there's no audience interaction per se. So it's really just you. And
Wow.
my director, Charlene, she's incredible, and Charlene Ward, and we have music cues and things like that, and I, bring in the audience when I can, but it's really me on stage for 53 minutes by myself.
Wow. Mary, I don't mean to embarrass you, but I hear you also have some famous family.
Yeah.
That Kennedy name is no joke.
Yeah, infamous.
Infamous.
We're the poor side of the family. I'm
And what
not
do
the
they do?
Hyannis port.
I don't know. I hear some of them
What
drive
did the
cars.
Kennedys do?
They drive some cars, I think.
Oh, there were some presidents, there was a senator, you don't necessarily want to drive with me.
Like a bridge
yeah, exactly.
over troubled waters. Let me get my scuba gear.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly. Alcoholics don't run in our family, they drive. Anyway, anywho's, but I have all of the tragedy, none of the money. But I'm third cousins, twice removed from the Kennedy family. So to the lineage for the college students, JFK's grandfather and my great-great-grandfather were brothers.
Okay.
Now you
all right.
know.
This very
And then
Game of
if you
Thrones.
don't believe me, you can see it with the Ted Kennedy nose and the chin.
Okay.
Well, Mary, awesome. Midlife Mood Swings was supposed to be coming up this October, but plans changed. So we'll be seeing you sometime here in the spring, hopefully.
Yes.
And welcome all of you, but I suppose I should probably get to the reason why I brought you all here.
Right. Should we
mean-
tell the Metro or CU students who the Kennedys are?
I don't know. It should be in the
Okay.
syllabus.
What I did there was a little cross-campus zinger. All right.
Wasn't she a VJ? Okay.
Oh.
Oh, that was terrible. Okay. So, I brought you all here for a reason. I sent you all a kind of a prompt, and this is the only information that I gave you. And stop looking at my script. Now, in the entire canon of theater history, there have been plays that have been heralded as great. But I'm sure we each have at least one that we can't agree that it's just not as good as the hype. So which is your play that you don't go along with everyone else in thinking that it's any good? Keylee, I'm going to start with you.
Well, it was a hard decision. And I'm going to contradict myself a little bit because I have a lot of nostalgia and a lot of history with this show. But I think if I'm coming from an objective perspective, I think categorically, analytically, it is one of the worst shows ever. And I know I'm going to upset people. But I'm going to say Cats the Musical.
Yes. Yes, hate Cats the Musical. Thank you. Keylee, thank you.
Because I love it. Like, my parents saw it on Broadway and brought the VHS home. It was like we did it at my elementary school in second grade. I have a lot of nostalgia for the show.
It's the Cat's
But there
meow.
is no point to it. Like, if we're looking at Aristotle's Poetics, right? Spectacle. I have gone on this tangent so many times, right? If we look at Aristotle's Poetics, we start with plot, we start with character, and right at the very bottom is spectacle. And American musical theater does this as a whole, but Cats exclusively is spectacle.
Correct.
More than anything else, and I don't think those other elements are, like, even acknowledged.
Well, yeah.
Like, a little bit, but that's because T.S. Eliot wrote the book. They had to have something. And yeah, like, there's kind of an arc, I guess.
Okay.
Right?
Eliot, huh?
So,
Cats. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Chuck, what do you got for us? Meow. Tickety tap, tippity tap.
He's stealing my
Send
answer.
that on and get me my poet laureate. What do you got? What's your play that you just can't go along with?
The Iceman coming.
On
forgot
everybody's
about that
nightstand. I think I remember at the
It's just not happy enough.
Oh, I see.
That's what's missing. It needs to be happy.
There needs to be a little delight.
A couple costumes, a couple dance numbers.
Like one of them brings out a cupcake and
At
says,
least-
"Here, have a cupcake."
Some version of a song and dance. Why so sad, Iceman? Why so sad? First of all, I expected the Iceman to be participating in a volleyball game.
Like a Top Gun style?
Yes! I look for the Top Gun beach scene in just about everything I do. It was formative to my coming out.
We're looking for jean shorts and bacon grease and...
Bacon grease is my nickname on... All right.
The Iceman cometh for bacon grease. I didn't say that. I said that.
You said what?
Okay. Mary, what do you got?
Chekhov's The Three Sisters. Could we all just get to Moscow already? I don't care.
Wow.
But I want to
Get
go!
on the train. Just get there.
I wanna go,
Get
I wanna
there
go, I
if you
wanna
can.
go.
There
It's
are
Russian
hills and
waiting for Godot.
mountains. Come on. I just can't.
And they're all rich ladies and could snap a finger and go, carriage is here. Let's
Yeah.
go.
The
Yeah.
war in Ukraine is going faster than any Russian piece of literature or theater.
And at least we got some comic relief out of that one. Well, I love that. I started to think about this, and I thought, like, my one, for a very picky reason like you, was Othello.
Okay.
Just because I don't believe, according to Hoyle, according to Aristotle, is it a true tragedy? And I'm like, because he just gets incited to go be jealous. Maybe jealousy is with it. Oh, God, I can't think of this as a true tragedy. And that's
that's
just me
interesting.
being snooty.
Can I tell you about a comic I saw?
Snooty. What have you got me into?
Welcome to hell, Chuck.
Can I
Some
tell
of the
you about a
hoi
comic I
polloi
saw?
is here.
Wait, what?
I saw a comic once that kind of comments on that. It was if Othello was the lead in Hamlet, and if Hamlet was the lead in Othello, right? Hamlet's father ghost comes and says, "My brother was an asshole, come and kill him." Othello would have immediately, show would have been over in 5 minutes.
Yeah.
No questions asked,
Right.
because that was his issue with Iago, was he just took it at face value, right?
Right.
And then Hamlet would have taken 5 minutes to think about what Iago said, realized he was full of shit, and then the show would have been over when he killed Iago.
Yep.
Just switch the two.
Crazy recognizes crazy.
Yeah,
I guess.
absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. Well, in the world of commercial theater, when Broadway investors and producers weigh what they want to put their money into, it can be rare that an investor or producer will take a risk on a show that might not go as well as hoped. However, every once in a while, a producer or investor will look at a new play to produce and think, it's worked before. That something really weird and out there has gone to Broadway and it absolutely flourished despite some initial misgivings. In fact, there is one show that almost everyone refers to, thinking that if a producer or investor were to take a chance on this show, they could emulate the success of that show, maybe even to a greater degree. Here's a list of the accolades and successes of the show in question. Its original production on Broadway ran for 18 years and a total of 7,845 performances. Its original West End production ran for 21 years and a total of 8,949 performances. And in its premiere, it got nominated for 10 Tony Awards, of which it won 7, including Best Musical. It won 3 Drama Desk Awards and won the Outer Critics Circle Award for Best Musical. It was also nominated for 5 Olivier Awards, winning 3, one of which was Best New Musical. And with tours, merchandise, and lots of other ways to squeeze blood from a turnip, in 2012, estimates were that the worldwide gross was over $3.5 billion. A Broadway revival launched in June 2016 and ran through December 2017. But despite all of this success, the show still remains one of those shows that seems to be a love it or hate it show. I've had people tell me that this is the reason that musical theater is in their bones. And I've had people tell me that this show is the reason they'll never appreciate musical theater. So, panel, I put it to you. Is Cats any good?
Cats. I've directed Cats.
What?
Not the Broadway. It was
okay.
it was a camp performance for kids, and Mr. Mistopheles was cast. We cast a girl, and that was a big drama. I think, here's the thing. I think you have to be a cat lover to like or love cats. And I'm a dog lover. And I think that's where the divisiveness is, because there's nothing quite as frightening. And I've seen it 3 times on Broadway because I had to, not because I wanted to. And it's very frightening when the cats go all through the audience and then you're face to face with Tim Tigger or whatever his name is.
Yep,
and he's pawing you, but he's a human. And it's frightening. And, I used to work at Equity. I used to do contracts for Broadway actors. And I'd have meetings with the cat cast, and they would act as cats during the meeting.
Oh, my God.
There's something really deranged by that. So I think it would be a fine musical if it wasn't so annoying.
Okay. Chuck, Keylee, what do you think? Is it any good?
I thought we were talking about Back to the Future, the musical.
Which is doing
Because
great
they make
on Broadway.
the DeLorean go out over the audience, and if that isn't brilliant theater, I don't know what is.
Spider-Man.
Ooh. Now, are you saying, Chuck, that maybe you've been in a DeLorean and you've gone ahead in at least 20-some years? So okay. Good to know, Winter Garden. You're going to be employed for a while.
I've been in a green room where some of the DeLorean products have been
God. So the question is cats good? Right? And I think that's a different question than do you like cats? Because I'm sorry I jumped the gun earlier answering your prompt, but because again, I think it's spectacle, it's indulgent, it's one of those no, I think it's absolute garbage, but I equate to watching cats to going and getting a Big Mac, right? It's not good for you. It's not high quality.
But it's a lot of fun.
It's tasty. It's fine. Because I do. My fiance, no theater background before we met, and he cannot stand musicals in general. He's like, why do they have to sing to explain everything constantly? And again, we have that inverted Aristotle's poetics. But I think musicals in general, compared to straight theater, there is that it's fun, it's enjoyable.
Yeah.
I think that Cats is that essence and that concentrated version of American musical theater in general compared to theater across the world, right?
Right. So I think to help our audience and our listeners, we need to all kind of get on the same page and pretend we don't know anything about cats.
Okay.
And so I'm going to help by starting with a little bit of an origin story of the play.
Wow.
The play first premiered in London's West End in 1981 and was conceived of and composed by musical legend Andrew Lloyd Webber. Did anybody kneel when that name was said? Okay, good. All right.
Nobody should.
Probably not here on stage, but maybe in locations approximate.
I'll have listeners who just drop their phone. I'm sorry, I don't know what happened. To call it a musical is generous, in that, as far as genre is concerned, it blurs many lines. The script is sung through entirely from beginning to end, and it feels like a mixture of synth opera, musical review, and concept musical. Agree?
Yeah.
Okay. After great success with his prior musicals, Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat, Jesus Christ Superstar, and Evita, he already had those behind him, Andrew Lloyd Webber gave himself something of a challenge. Could he write a musical, or just music in general, around previously published material and come up with no lyrics on his own?
That's what happened. That explains so much.
Oh.
It was a shortcut.
So what did he choose as his material? One of his favorite books of poetry from his childhood, T.S. Eliot's Old Possum's Book of Practical Cats, particularly the poems which describe the processes and how each of the cats are named. Originally, T.S. Eliot never intended for them to be published. He wrote them as poems, as inserts in letters to his godchildren, who enjoyed them greatly. In the poems, he described the lives and names of groups of, quote, poor little dogs and dear little cats. However, one of Eliot's godchildren, being a toddler, mispronounced the words and called them Polico dogs and Jellico cats, and the name stuck. I should also point out that Eliot renounced his U.S. citizenship when he went to Oxford to study in 1914. He decided to become a British citizen because, according to him, he was spending so much time in Britain that he didn't want to, quote, feel like a squatter.
Oh,
I guess.
So his godchildren would have been British, thus the mispronunciation. Gallico. But because his godchildren enjoyed them so much and asked for more with each letter he'd write, Eliot saw the potential for these poems and tales to become influential to many children. So he gathered them up and had them published in a single volume in 1939, Old Possum's Book of Practical Cats, which, as we've mentioned before, got into the hands of Andrew Lloyd Webber when his mother would read them to him as a child. And thus, in 1977, Andrew Lloyd Webber began putting music to Eliot's words, and by 1980 he had something of a concert version of what the play would become. This was about the best he could do, because Keylee, as you were saying, the book of poems doesn't really have a plot line. It's just a gathering of poems about how cats were named.
Yep.
So, yeah, that's what we got to
So,
Chuck is very
in
contemplative.
summation, this musical is if, say, Hans Zimmer decided to take a break and write a show off of, like, Fox and Socks by Dr. Seuss. I feel like that's essentially the same thing at this point, right?
Yep.
Okay. I don't know. I wouldn't watch that.
Box and
I'd
Socks.
probably- yeah, by Hans
and
Zimmer.
Socks on Fox.
Yeah.
Summon all the cellos. All right. Well, he still wanted to see if he could somehow make it a musical and needed permission from T.S. Eliot's widow, Valerie. She attended one of his concerts in 1980 and was very impressed by the work, so much so that she actually gave him some of Eliot's unpublished materials about cats that she still had in her possession.
She's a jolly good cello.
That is actually very sweet, though.
I know. Oh, you did something with his work. Thank you. Here's a quote about this transaction. Included in the unpublished work was a poem about Grisabella the Glamour Cat, which Eliot left out of the book because he thought it was too sad for children. The unpublished poem had deeper meaning and inspired Andrew Lloyd Webber to write it into a musical. The poem was only 8 lines long, but gave the story a tiny plot line.
exactly. Tiny plot line.
Called
That's
it.
the problem. That's it. Right there. I mean,
You saw it
Evita
here
has
first,
a plot.
folks.
Jesus Christ Superstar has a plot. I mean, it's one of the oldest stories on earth, but it has a plot. But
Yeah.
That's
Beginning,
the
middle, end. We know
problem.
what happened.
Now, along with these unpublished poems was a letter from Eliot to his publisher in which he described that the Jellicle cats would gather on a special evening, which would end with a balloon trip to the Heaviside Layer, which was not really explained what that was.
I think trip is the formative word. It's the 1970s, for God's sake.
Definitely what just happened.
And I looked at the history of like what came in the 70s as far as musical theater. It was like nothing.
More like
no.
It was
Okay.
weird. It was a weird time. And the rest, as they say, is history. Legendary producer Cameron McIntosh had been on board since it was just a concept concert and helped develop it into the product it became. Andrew Lloyd Webber actually put a second mortgage on his home to add funding to the project, which had a projected budget of $5 million in 1980, which is just under $19 million today. And due to his faith in the product, other investors joined suit. On opening night, there was actually a bomb scare in the theater, which turned out to be a hoax. But nonetheless, the theater was evacuated. And once it turned out to be false, everyone, of course, came back in. And despite all of this, Cats has persevered. And I've already described just how long it ran and how many awards it won. One estimate I saw was that Andrew Lloyd Webber, Cameron McIntosh, and any investor who put money into the project had their investment returned at least 3,500%.
Oh,
wow.
that's a very big number.
I put in $1.
That's
I
a
got
lot of catnip.
30. Never mind the litter.
That's what they call the green room the litter box.
Oh,
Imagine all the balls with the bells in them.
I mean, if those actors are as method as you say.
No, they did. They played with yarn balls.
Here, I don't
I
want this.
bet you somebody did it.
T.S. Eliot actually won the Tony Award for Best Book of a Musical in 1983, 15 years after his death, beating out several other contemporary and quite alive theater artists.
Man, you lost to Cats.
I need to know who these people are.
That's got to
I
be on
need to know who was on the list.
It's got to be on your IMDb page. I lost to Cats.
I was runner-up. One more legacy piece about Cats that you might appreciate, Keylee, is that it is more or less responsible for the proliferation of radio mics on the musical stage. For those of you that don't know what that means, today we have little packs that we as actors will wear on our costume somewhere, and with a small wire to a minuscule microphone that is placed on our faces, and it transmits our feeds to the soundboard. Yep, you can thank Cats for wireless mics.
We did Evil Dead the musical last semester, and those mics were the bane of my existence.
Are they bloodproof?
No. No, I had alcohol wipes on deck to wipe them down every single night. I was like, try and keep your face away from the effects. The actors got really excited. They were doing their job well, but they went face first into these blood sprays.
Well, you can thank Cats for that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
thanks.
Cats began what is known as the mega musical craze. Merchandise could be seen everywhere, and this show basically created the merchandise arm of the Broadway industry. Wow. And Grisabella's song Memory could be heard on the radio for years after the premiere. Cats was the biggest thing on Broadway for a long time.
Silence.
There's a fat joke in there.
Well, because
Everybody doesn't know Eddie Brill.
I've always seen that kind of like separation of like there's those two hierarchies of musical theater kids, right? We have like the techies, we have the crew, we have like the kids that are just really interested in theater as a whole, and then we have that like subgroup. And this is a very personal opinion, and I am not expressing any judgment to somebody who identifies this way. But you know those kids that are just like obsessed with the musicals? They have Wicked hats and Phantom of the Opera bags, and they just love singing the songs constantly everywhere. Like we all work in theater. We know that person. I'm sure you met 5 of them in high school.
I was
And
teaching
I'd just like to sing, Keylee.
I wasn't trying to call you out, but here we are. But it's so interesting
See
that.
that joke coming a mile away.
I know, there's a lot of foreshadowing.
But I would use Cats as an example to show, because guaranteed that person will love Cats.
Right?
No matter what, they will love Cats. So it's really interesting to know that was like the cat a list.
Whoa!
Thank you.
Bravo.
Thank you. For that kind of theater culture. Yeah.
Right? Oh, you're an ace.
Thank you.
Yeah, but it had to. So here's the thing. It had to have spurred something with someone for it to last that long. And Cameron McIntosh is not like, he's not just he's a huge producer.
Oh, yeah.
So the fact that somebody saw something, you know, and that it ran for so long, and in my term of being in the world of theater, I saw it 3 times, begrudgingly every single time. There has to be something. But how the amazing have fallen. He went from Evita to Cats. I mean, do you know what I mean?
But
Like,
it was a success.
It was.
It was a success.
Blinding
So what
success.
is it about Cats
Well,
that people love?
let me. Okay, so we've talked about the history of it. Let's talk about the show itself. The story.
Air
that
quotes.
we have. Let's go ahead and describe that and see what Andrew Lloyd Webber was able to extrapolate from those 8 unpublished lines. To sum it up briefly, it's a play about cats. The performers appear as anthropomorphic cats with furry costumes and exquisite makeup. But again, they're not people playing cats. They're really just cats.
Oh, that's obnoxious.
Well, here's a fun little story. This is precisely what director Hal Prince found out when Andrew Lloyd Webber played through the full score for him in Prince's home in an effort to entice Prince to direct the original version on the West End. Go to Hal Prince and play in his house the entire score. Prince had this to say in interviews later. I listened to it all and I said, Andrew, is this something I don't get? Is this about Queen Victoria? She's the main cat, and Disraeli and Gladstone are the other cats, and then there are, poor cats. Am I missing this? And he took a terrible, painful, long pause and said, Hal, it's about cats. And we never discussed it again.
But what's the metaphor? What's the symbology? What's the meaning?
Cat.
Nope, just cats.
Cats.
Hal Prince, I met him once.
Oh, whoa.
He's amazing, God rest his soul, but
Yeah.
Hal Prince was not somebody that would mince words at all. Like, you know what I mean? Like when he was done with the conversation, he was done. So the fact that he had to have seen some sort of money in this.
Yeah. I mean, he did come back and direct Phantom for him, I guess.
Yeah.
That's
Yes,
true.
he did. Yeah.
Yeah.
But maybe
there
it
he's
is.
like, we know there's actually a story in that one.
Yeah. But maybe it is what you were saying, Mary, is like, because it is just straight up about cats.
It's
If
just-
you're a cat person,
You get it.
you're going to like it.
Kinda. Yeah.
Cats themselves have that energy.
Oh, I wanted to talk to you about
Sometimes
that.
people just want to like something.
But
what I
imagine how
tell you.
different
Singing in unison is just fun.
That's what I tell
And that's
Ian
it.
every time.
That's it. The play doesn't have to be any more complex. It's you get together. You don't have to sing. Other people do it. They sing, and you're like, okay, I'm having fun.
And on Broadway, they had this like slinky, like
But there's
Fosse-esque
there's a part of-
choreography.
There's
Yeah.
a part of theater that revels in the snobbery, right? So we love to be above everybody,
Yeah.
and you don't know that show. Armpit fart, armpit fart. Cats exists. What do you want? What do you want? Some people find this funny. Other people, gotta go to a hip comedy club and watch someone pontificate into nothingness. And they're like, that's just genius. You don't get it.
Wow.
But this guy wrote the armpit fart of musicals. We're all stunned that there's people. Armpit
Almost
farts are going to
technically
be
an
around
opera.
longer than cats.
But here's the thing. Imagine how different it would be if it was called Dogs.
Something I read was saying that, like, you have more people out there who are dog people than are cat people, or admittedly so. And yeah, if it was about dogs, everybody would be like, it's more like that one's like my dog. And
I think dog people need it to be about their dog. Cat people are they don't care about their cat as much as their cat doesn't care about them.
Yeah.
So,
My cat is the best cat, but I also know all cats are shitheads.
but dog people would be like, you can't say that about woofums.
That's my baby. I'm like, no, my cat's
I'm
name is
putting in a
Taco.
Yelp review. This will stop now.
Yeah.
Oh,
Cat people are like, this is my cat, Nacho. I found him in a trash can one day.
Yeah, I'd love to see the study. Who fills out Yelp reviews more, dog people or cat people? I bet you cat people are just like, whatever. Food was cold. It happens. But dog people are like, my feelings were hurt.
my breakfast burrito didn't have enough black olives in it.
Right. My McDonald's French fries were cold.
Yelp.
Who knew?
Oh, by the way, Hal Prince was overbooked when Lloyd Webber asked him to direct Cats. In any case, this is the story of cats. A tribe of cats, known as Jellicle cats, live inside a theater, and they have gathered for the annual Jellicle Ball on the stage. And since they're in a theater and they know that an audience is watching them, Mary, like you were saying, they frequently break the fourth wall, sometime invasively coming into the crowd and like sitting on people's laps and purring and patting them. And Mary says, absolutely not.
My dad
That's a
loved
fetish.
that when he
That's
saw
a
it on
fetish.
Broadway.
That's an open expression of your fetish,
I really want to be.
which is fine, I guess.
I
but
want to be on the aisle
to
seat.
thrust your fetish onto another person is a little time to call HR, kitty cats.
Now, the Jellicles open the show by describing what Jellicle cats are, how each cat gets its name, and that this Jellicle ball is supposed to be special because the wise old leader of the Jellicles, Old Deuteronomy, will be attending tonight to announce which of the Jellicle cats will be chosen to ascend to the Heaviside layer, heaven, once the next of its 9 lives is over. And thus, for the rest of the play, we get song after song for each of the mini candidates for Old Deuteronomy to choose from, and their attributes, which should make them the one to be chosen for the journey to the Heaviside layer.
And then the DeLorean flies in, runs over a cat for its 8th life is over, and now it ascends.
And Alexander Hamilton gets out of the DeLorean.
Last year's rent.
I think we're onto something, Chuck. So I'll list some of the cats here, and I'll remind you that Andrew Lloyd Webber did not name any of these cats and took every bit of lyrics from T.S. Eliot's work. Monkus Trap,
Yep.
the show's narrator and second in command to Old Deuteronomy. He's not really in the running for the Heaviside layer journey, but he's important nonetheless.
Okay, but it's cute now that you think about he's writing this to his godchildren first. So the names come from those letters.
Yeah.
That's adorable.
Isn't that
All
cute?
right, now
Yeah.
you've made me almost like cats. Son of a...
We're not done with the show yet, Chuck. So anyway, Monkus Trap, he kind of serves as MC for the festivities. Next is Jenny Anydots,
Yep.
a large tabby cat who lazes around all day and becomes very active at night, teaching mice and cockroaches how to tap dance.
Well, yes.
You haven't done that?
I can see her costume in my head. It was actually an impressive structure. Yeah.
Rum Tum Tugger, an interruptive cat who likes to perform, flirt around, and have everybody watch him perform and flirt around.
No, we know what he was drinking when he wrote that poem.
Yep. Very sexual
Now I got a
character.
name.
Aha! Grisabella, as I mentioned before, the old glamour cat who has kind of been kicked out of the Jellicles because she's old and sad.
Yeah, nobody likes her.
No.
She's going through menopause. She's going through menopause.
Oh my God. And Mary, what is it like for cats that go through menopause? And is there any way that could relate to your show coming here in the spring where folks can purchase tickets, $25 to
Yeah,
be front
exactly.
row and
$20 with
center to Mary
CCDID.
Kennedy from Shameless.
Midlife mood
Conan,
swing.
Very funny.
Yeah.
Come watch Midlife
Well,
Mood Swing. Mary?
Maybe I'll sing something from Cats going through menopause.
Oh, that would be a fun memory.
Hot flash.
You can still be alone on the pavement, though.
Hot flash.
Someone bring me some ice cream.
Right?
There you go. Exactly. Beautifully done.
Okay, let's continue. Bustifer Jones,
Yep.
who is the aristocrat cat who thrives on high society and fine dining.
And he wears
Otherwi-
spats.
Yeah, otherwise known as gluttony. And spats, yeah. Mungo Jerry and Rumple Teaser,
Oh,
Cute.
those were my favorite.
right?
Those are cute. Those are
A
cute.
pair of identical male and female cats who are known for their aptitude for burglary and mischief. Gus, short for asparagus.
No.
Do you know what his job was?
He makes his cat pee smell funny.
No, he's the railway cat.
No,
No?
No.
Gus, who? Oh, Gus was old.
Gus was
I'm
the
jumping the
old
gun.
actor cat, the
Ignore
theater
me.
cat,
Right.
who used to be in all sorts of theater productions until he got palsy, and now his paws shake too much for him to be able to act.
Did he get pawsy?
Palsy.
No.
McCavity, known as the Napoleon of crime, who also comes into the story to shake things up, stealing Old Deuteronomy away at one point, comes back in disguise as Old Deuteronomy, but his identity is quickly revealed, and McCavity gets the shit kicked out of him.
Nothing. I got nothing there.
Skimbleshanks, the railway
Yep.
cat. And
Yes.
from what I understand, the trains can't run without Skimbleshanks. It's never really explained what function Skimbleshanks serves on the railway, but the trains can't run without Skimbleshanks.
They do have an actual railway cat in Japan now.
Yeah.
Right.
There is a cat with that job in real life.
I'm picturing that 1800s like illustration of each of these animals.
Yeah. And magical Mr. Mistopheles, the magician cat who is eventually able to bring back old Deuteronomy and the lights in the theater with his magic.
Wow.
Yeah, he turns a fader up.
Excellent. So he's union.
Yeah.
Knows what he's doing. So
Yep.
proud of him.
In any case, by the end of the night, old Deuteronomy selects Grisabella to ascend to the
You
Heaviside
gave
layer.
away the story!
It's been
And that's
running
what
for
Grisabella
years.
does.
It's
She
fine.
ascends to the Heaviside layer directly through the roof of the theater, and just like that, the Jellicle Ball is over and the cats disappear.
Look at
That's
that.
our story.
A woman
That's it,
in
the end.
leadership. That is 1970. He's ahead of the curve there. It took, what, Reagan to the 80s to get us to the Supreme Court.
And the story is effectively an old cat dies. That's it. This cat was old and she died. And all of the other cats, in true cat fashion, just go on with
Yep.
their lives.
Well, okay, guess that one's gone.
Yep, that's it.
So, before I continue, I'll say what seems to be a theme throughout the reviews of the original productions is that Cats is a show that got a lot more praise for its technical elements rather than its storytelling. As you were saying, what you get is a show of spectacle. And as we kind of hit on earlier, I'll describe it a little bit more. I mean, in the theater world, we describe spectacle basically as like eye and ear candy, right? In a way.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
100%.
Okay. And a lot of things fall under that umbrella. Just anything that could be pleasing to the eye or ear. Anything that shines or sparkles or sounds amazing. Maybe pyrotechnics, maybe flying rigging. So it looks like performers are not subject to the hold of gravity.
Amazing.
If you haven't listened, Keylee was on my show before, and we did this episode about medieval special effects, in medieval theater, where people were literally stringing refuse and smells on stage, and like, wow, that smells like shit. That's really authentic, and it literally was shit.
And like Jesus was on a string and
Yeah, Jesus was on a string and smelled like hyacinth.
it's a miracle.
Well, in the case of Cats, it was makeup and costume, scenic design and lighting. Choreography was amazing. Plus, using that song and dance as your storytelling style rather than a more traditional method of narrative storytelling made it even more of a spectacle. Now, in some cases, there isn't anything wrong with spectacle being more important than narrative, but panel, what do you make of that?
I think, because again, my whole tangent about Aristotle's Poetics, right?
Yep.
And like all of the key elements he talks about are ranked.
Yes,
right?
1 through 6.
Like
Yep.
they start and go in a particular hierarchy of what is most important. And again, I think American musical theater completely inverts that.
Yeah, but spectacle's
Right? We go
higher.
6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Spectacle is top when you're thinking about American theater. That's why we have all of these movies made musicals, right? Like
Yep.
Legally Blonde. It's like it doesn't matter what the story is. We're just gonna make it look really cool. Like the Beetlejuice musical set. That thing is amazing.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
like from a technical perspective, I could really geek out about it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think the magic of Cats, now that I'm thinking about it, is that Andrew Lloyd Webber knew that. We
Yeah.
don't need a plot. We don't need characters, really. Like, we're just going to commit everything to the spectacle and just, like, fully balls to the wall commit and, like, really do that.
Right.
And maybe that's what sold it so much.
You mentioned movie musicals. I was a latecomer to getting to visit Broadway, and my first show that I saw there was Tootsie. Okay?
Oh,
And it was
yeah.
no, that was a fun show. That was a really
Yeah.
fun show. Great costuming, great comedic timing, lots of fun stuff. And then it gets to the end, and the moral basically is, maybe men shouldn't take women's jobs.
Yeah.
And we went, yes, and curtain.
I think that's valid.
For instance, Hamilton, and this
Oh.
is the school teacher talking here, is Hamilton could also be considered a spectacle
Yes.
Oh,
in
yeah.
a lot of ways, but it's also historical and has a plot has a through line, has a beginning, middle, and an end. And yes, we know the history part of it, but that also, I think, was a hit because also Lin Miranda put in the rap component and connected our kids to enjoy history through that component. I think if we just sat on stage and read a book, I think they'd be just as bored as I was during history class. But so what I'm trying to say is that, Hamilton would be a very different show if it wasn't done the way that it was done.
Right.
But
right.
I think,
And
I think with
spectacle definitely does have its place in getting people interested. But if a show is primarily spectacle and they go, our story is an old cat dies and we all watched.
It's which I think is the plot of the X-Men movie series. And you could cross-compare to the Mission Impossible series.
Oh, yeah.
Which might have a beginning,
How
a
is
middle, and an
Tom
end.
Cruise going to kill himself this time?
But he puts
Hugh
together
Jackman is so
the movies
hot.
have a story, and he
Yeah.
puts together a hell of an action thriller, whereas the X-Men movies are just noise. Here comes another character with a weird thing and a comparison to coming out of the closet.
Yeah. But maybe the
But Hugh
spectacle...
Jackman is gorgeous.
Well, there's that.
Yeah. But maybe the spectacle is what
that's
makes
spectacle.
it accessible.
That's a different spectacle for an aging middle of the road midlife woman.
And Mary, don't you dare get me started
Mary,
on music, man.
is there anything a midlife woman should know about which musicals to watch that are most therapeutic when it comes to, say, alleviating the pains
Asking
and
for a
stresses
friend
of
check?
menopause?
There is a musical called Menopause the Musical,
Oh,
There is.
yeah.
Right?
but it's not mine, so we won't talk about it. But
not Mary's show. Don't go to that one.
Midlife Mood Swing has some music in it.
It's helpful to sing and clap and laugh when you've got
Yes.
menopause,
Yes.
or even if you just think you might know someone who one day will have menopause. Say,
Yeah.
if you're someone within the next 60 miles who has $25 and wants to see a great show,
Yeah,
in the
Midlife
spring.
Mood Swing.
There may
And
be-
I sing in it, and I have a hot flash on stage, always.
You can do that? That's incredible.
That's
Now
the spectacle.
That's spectacle.
Can you
Right.
go the other way and turn them off, too? Because that is money.
Okay, before I get into critical reviews, I'll tell a little bit more about the initial reception to the concept when it was pitched to other theater makers. I've already told about Hal Prince. Andrew Lloyd Webber wrote in his memoir that when he played the score to entice legendary dancer and choreographer Twyla Tharp, she was, quote, less than enthralled.
This seems to be a running theme in the story.
I'm sorry, I
He
just want
brings it to people and they're like,
It's an astute observation.
good try.
right. It's cute what you do.
So it's about cats? Oh. The creative team ended up being Andrew Lloyd Webber, director Trevor Nunn, and choreographer Gillian Lynn, who went on to work with Andrew Lloyd Webber as the choreographer for his musicals Phantom of the Opera and Aspects of Love, so they seem to work really well. John Napier designed both sets and costumes. Nunn, Lynn, and Napier were all nominated for Tony Awards for their work. Nunn won for direction, and Napier won for costume design.
That does make sense, though. Those were really
Yeah, oh my God.
amazing costumes.
When it comes to direction, there was none other.
I don't get it.
Uh-huh.
In any case, let's get to the reviews. On the West End, reviews were extraordinarily positive, with words like exhilarating piece of theater and strong framework were used.
I think you mean positive.
Paul's. One review called it among the most innovative musicals ever created, and the British musical has taken a giant leap forward, surpassing in ingenuity and invention anything Broadway has sent us.
So do we just learn culturally to hate the play Cats? Is that like without having seen it, do you just learn through your social group that you have an opinion about Cats and you
I
hate it?
wonder if there's an in group and an out group.
Right?
Right? Because, like, theater nerds, right? We're doing this, like, analytical studies and we're learning all of this and we know what makes something good, like, structurally and what all the elements are. But, like, to a layman who knows nothing, right? I mean, we have my fiance who's like, they're singing, I don't get it, why? But then we also have, like, I mean, you don't have to analyze it. There is no metaphor or symbology to, like, dissect, you know? It's like looking at abstract art. It's like, I don't know, it's a circle, thanks.
It's just Friday night, and it's just a brewery. We don't have to get into the recipe and what are the
You don't have
tones
to
and
think
notes
about it.
in
It's
the
not a
flavor of the
hoity-toity
beer.
high culture thing. It's
You
just
just
show
go out.
up, fuck around, have a good time.
Yeah, so you can just go to the play in the West End, watch the musical of the cats singing and dancing, and think it's fun. And so clearly, the reviews early on are people who have the job to pan the thing, and are saying it's talented. So I wonder, from then on, where do we suddenly learn that we hate cats? I think that's the first thing I knew about cats, is that we hate it, long before I even knew what it was.
Cats is a gateway musical, Chuck.
Right? So,
Honestly, I would say, and we're going to get into it a little bit later, the Z generation, the Zoomer generation, is 100% on your side there, Chuck, or at least in that vein. Like they just know it's bad.
Really?
Yep.
They saw it on TikTok.
Well, yeah, and we'll describe that here in a little bit. As far as Broadway is concerned, and despite the awards it won, Cats had a harder time impressing critics on Broadway. They just couldn't get it. And they also couldn't deny that it was something innovative and new. John Simon of New York Magazine had this to say: "There is something for everyone, even dog lovers, in Cats. A kind of whiskered Disneyland full of sound and furry. You may justly feel that it is slight and overblown, that it is wasteful," parenthetical reference here. "The money spent on it could have kept all the starving cats of China in heavy cream for a century or two." And terribly arch, "but you cannot help experiencing surges of childish jubilance as cleverness after sleek cleverness rubs against your shins."
And I kind of want to debate the economics there, because that's in 1987 dollars. Look at the Chinese
82,
economy to now. There's no way we could afford all that kind of cream.
The cream market has definitely taken a swing.
Right, and imagine what the price of milk would be at the store.
I wonder what the bull market is for cream. Yeah.
It's more of a bowl market.
Bowl. Frank Rich of the New York Times did not praise the musical as being good or particularly clever, but this is what he had to say. "It's not that this collection of anthropomorphic variety turns is a brilliant musical, or that it powerfully stirs the emotions, or that it has an idea in its head. It's a musical that transports the audience into a complete fantasy world that could only exist in the theater, and yet, these days, only rarely does. Whatever the other failings and excesses, even banalities of Cats, it believes in purely theatrical magic, and on that faith, it unquestionably delivers."
I like that.
Isn't that something?
That speaks my little theater heart.
Right?
I'm like, yeah.
Yeah, this is why we go. We want to make believe. And maybe we'll get a story out of it. Maybe we won't, but we spent some time in another world. And my world didn't exist for a second. That speaks to us absolutely escapist theater.
Absolutely.
Right. Well, and Frank Rich, he was the critic there, right?
Yeah.
He is not one to pontificate and say something's fabulous.
No.
So the fact that he found something in there, maybe I'm just bitter. Possible.
Well, I mean...
No.
Wait, is there something that maybe...
No, but there's
midlife
probably an
women
opportunity
have
to plug
bitterness?
Mary Kennedy from Midlife Mood Swing. Just appearing above me, and you hear her charming voice. She'll be here in the spring performing Midlife Mood Swing at the Recital Hall. Tickets will be on sale, $25, $20 with the CCD bag.
There you go. Thank you, Chuck.
Producer. Just producer.
Just producer. Just, trying to give it a leg up.
Right?
Yeah. So this theatrical magic that somehow was found on Broadway, I wonder if this is why perhaps it so inarguably failed when it was adapted to the big screen in 2019.
That is amazing. And I think 100% correct.
No, that is the reason why Rebel Wilson went and transformed herself. That's all I'm going to say. For us larger girls out there, support body positivity. That
Yes.
costume.
Oh.
God help us.
Oh.
Thank you.
I've never seen the movie.
Oh,
I
okay.
liked the musical. I wanted to keep liking the
Okay,
musical.
well, get ready for a roller coaster here. We're going to show it right now. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh, God.
I'm kidding. We're not doing that. Of course, it had been suggested for a film adaptation many times in the past. In 1998, while it was still on Broadway, what basically was a filmed version of the stage play got some attention, even though a half hour was cut out, but I don't think anybody really noticed.
For God's sakes, no.
My
Theater
world
people
just,
could tone down the length of these things on occasion.
that shook my
Like,
world a little bit.
But half of the
I
rest
grew
of
up
us.
watching that VHS
Yeah.
tape. There's 30 minutes I don't know about.
Yep. Now, CCD has to stage Cats. In 1994, Steven Spielberg had thought to make an animated version of Cats under his animation studio, Amblimation. His Cats was to be released in 1997, but Amblimation shut down that year, so Spielberg's Cats never came to fruition. But Spielberg's production company, Amblin, and Warner Brothers optioned it for a live-action major studio release for the 2019 Christmas season, where there was joy from enthusiastic musical theater fans, and there was equally proportionate skepticism.
I just want to point out, 3 months later, the world shut down.
Sure did.
Whatever your movie did,
Connect the dots as you will.
what did your movie do at the box office? It closed it for 2
Mic drop.
years.
It was just.
Mary, I'm ruining your chance to be in Cats 2. Is there any way you would want to follow up Midlife Mood Swing, your one-woman show that's touring the world? Tickets are on sale right now,
sure.
$25 or
I'll do
$20 with
Cats.
the CCDI badge. But would you do Cats 2? Yes? Oh.
Yes, sure. Why not?
Brought to you by Kentucky Fried Chicken. This movie's finger-licking good. All right.
Oh, my goodness.
I hear Cats like chicken.
Right?
It would seem that when the trailer dropped in summer 2019, people weren't quite sure what they were looking at.
Yeah, I remember that moment.
Sir Ian McKellen, who plays Gus in the movie, took to his Twitter account the day after the trailer dropped to say this: "Most of you are looking forward to it, many are curious, and others have their doubts," as if to say, I guess we'll see.
Gandalf.
Yeah, that's as little of a stance as you can
They
take.
got Gandalf, and no one wanted to see the movie.
They tried so hard.
They did.
I knew the
He's got
second I
like
saw that
BBC
trailer.
sitcoms from the 70s that
Oh,
have
man.
more views.
Oh, man. Oh, and when I read the list of names, Chuck, okay. Keep in mind, it closed its original Broadway run in 2000 after 18 years on the Great White Way. The revival in 2016-2017 was frankly forgettable, besides having stars like Leona Lewis in the cast. So it could be that it had been so long since Cats was really in the zeitgeist that people were wondering, why do we need this now?
Oh, you're actually asking.
Yeah, maybe.
I think it's, I mean, Cats was just the first,
Yeah.
right? It opened up this whole genre, this whole style, and like everybody took it and extrapolated on it and really innovated and pushed it forward. But Cats was the one that opened the door.
Yeah.
So now that the door's open, you know, it's
Yeah,
like,
what haven't we done?
Exactly.
I like your usage of the word zeitgeist, because it point like there was nothing in 2019 that was sort of signaling, you know what we need? A good family sit down where we can all just watch,
With all the
kitty cats.
buttholes.
There was
do
nothing.
a dance
there was
in order to
nothing
figure out
scratching
who
that itch.
succeeds. Yeah, no. Not enough catnip at any dispensary to get me to want to watch that thing, I'll tell you.
No, it was horrible.
It could have also been because Warner Brothers chose Tom Hooper to be the director.
Yeah.
Tom Hooper is also famous for his questionable choices in film adaptations of musical, like Les Miserables a few years before, for which the movie was nominated for Best Picture, but Hooper was not nominated for Best Director. He had won that a couple years prior for The King's Speech. So it was kind of interesting that he did not get this. Hooper has famously defended his directorial choices in Les Mis, most notably his almost excessive use of close-ups. His defense was basically, we can do it in film, not on the stage.
I guess.
Uh-huh.
Sure.
and his casting choice of Russell Crowe playing the villainous Javert, as he frankly couldn't sing the part. Yeah.
He just crowed on. Okay.
Boom! Man,
That's just
needed a
terrible.
punster.
I can't not say them. I'm sorry.
But the film adaptation of Cats seemed to attract a huge ensemble of A-listers. Dame
Yes.
Judi Dench and Sir Ian McKellen.
Right.
Idris Elba, James Corden, Rebel Wilson, as Mary said, Jennifer Hudson, Jason Derulo, and Taylor Swift.
But my question has always been, because I saw this cast list when the movie was announced, my question has always been, were these actors making that choice, or was the movie investing enough money that they couldn't say no?
Oh, hold on. I've got one for you.
Okay.
Before the film premiered, in interviews about why she chose to be in Cats, Taylor Swift, who has 3 cats, named Olivia Benson, Meredith Grey, and Benjamin Button, had this to say.
I feel like lots of people in the audience just said that along with you.
Is he going to mention Olivia?
Like,
Yes, he got it.
Yeah, like just name Taylor Swift's 3 cats. Okay.
Or which one's her favorite? This is what she had to say. This is my calling in life. I have cats. I'm so obsessed with them. I love my cats so much that when a role came up in a movie called Cats, I just thought, I gotta do this. End quote.
That's a direct quote.
That's a direct quote that was printed in a magazine.
And proof that Beyonce is so much fucking better than her. Like, she's just white privilege that talks a lot, and everyone else
We knew
has
we were getting
skill.
hot takes. You didn't know we would have scalding takes.
Oh, I'm gonna get so much hate from T-Swifties.
Right, fine.
That's your
Let them
show.
chat GPT their review. They haven't got an original thought.
But did we land Ian McKellen and Judi Dench because they
I
also had cats?
Happen to like Taylor Swift.
Yes, and I know they're.
I do. It's all right.
And
I
you can
don't
see
think
us debate that. No, I'm sorry.
Chuck, I'm only paying you for
we're
3
changing the
plugs.
opening. No, but okay. I don't know. Listen, Taylor has so much money.
Yeah.
That I think it was probably, I use this word so lightly, a passion project for her.
Obviously.
But,
Cats.
Okay, she actually was not the most annoying thing from the movie.
No.
I gotta be honest.
No.
She was not.
She's actually one of my highlights, Mary.
A
One
lot of my
Yes.
favorite actors in, say, the Bond films and what else. So it's an impressive list of people.
Right?
I'm so glad I didn't even know there was a movie edition. It's just, I'm doing a hell of a job of checking out a show business and becoming a real human.
Well, thanks for being on the show, Chuck.
Right?
Thanks, Chuck.
I got a salary. I can go.
Consistent salary.
I have a retirement package.
Okay. But the reaction to the Cats trailer and subsequently the finished movie may have been due to several pieces of what we'll call artistic license.
Oh, really?
All of the actors filmed in a complete green screen environment, wearing Lycra bodysuits. The entire environment, including the cat's fur on each of their bodies, was added digitally.
And the buttholes.
We're getting there.
Okay.
We're getting there. And there was the regular gamut of questions regarding why cats walked and talked like humans, how some seemed to wear clothes while other ones didn't. New generation. When Tom Hooper premiered the movie in New York to an invited audience on December 16th, 2019, he openly admitted that he had just finished editing the movie the day before. I love that cringe, Mary. That was really great. What people saw was completely unhinged. And here's just a list of the few infractions. An almost completely reworking of the plot to make it even make less sense by taking a side character and making her the main character. A lot of the CGI had not been completed. In one scene, Judi Dench's actual wedding ring can be seen on her finger. Dench, by the way, later described her costume of Old Deuteronomy as 5 foxes fucking on her back.
I'd rather see that movie,
I love her so much.
even if it has her rectum.
And described her disappointment that the leader of the Jellicles came out looking like, quote, a battered, mangy old cat, a great big orange bruiser. What's that about?
But that's what he's supposed to be, isn't it?
Kinda. Another interesting element about the CGI renditions is that 5 days after the original release, an updated version was sent to theaters with CGI corrections. Apparently, there was a lot of buzz about the original cut digitally placing anuses on all of the cats. This new version removed all of them. So to this day, there is legitimately a secret and unreleased butthole cut of cats out there.
But like, here's the thing: if you own a cat, you know
That's what happened.
that the butthole is important.
You touch the button
Cat
somewhere,
butts.
and the anus is like, here,
Yeah.
you wanted this, right?
Cats are very proud of their buttholes. They spend a lot of time working on them. Like, I put effort into this. I need to show it off.
Chuck, you don't have any
And
jokes
as a
about
cat
This
owner,
is my
you're like,
entire.
yeah.
This is my entire bio on Grindr.
Chuck.
My butthole has
cut.
9 lives.
I feel so sad
Yeah.
for the CGI people when they sat down for their meeting and said,
Oh,
you get to remove the buttholes today. You.
but we put so much time putting him in. Nope. Out.
Nope. They're
Like,
out.
before it even went to CG, did they even sit down and have a butthole conversation? Like, guys,
Oh,
Oh, they did.
Cat
yes,
buttholes.
yes.
Like,
Whole
they had
thing.
to have.
Just if I've been in green rooms for 30 years. At least 3 times, cocaine was in the green room. That's it. That's it. I'm a stoner. I'm not into that scene, and the reason why is cocaine is fucking annoying, and they come up with shit like this.
Put buttholes on the cats.
Okay.
Yeah, they're like, we should do a movie rendition of cats. And, we'll get Judi
Buttholes,
Dench.
buttholes everywhere.
We'll use her butthole.
Did
It'll
you say
be her
buttholes?
butthole.
I was just thinking buttholes.
Ian
Oh my
McKellen's
God.
butthole, and the 2 buttholes will be like, what do you think? I think if you have more cocaine, I love your idea. If you don't have any more cocaine, then we
Wait.
should just go.
Wait. Grisabella will sing Memory from her butthole.
Thank you for the reminder, Chuck. It was my fault assuming that executive producer rooms were a place of logic.
I'm sorry. It could be.
Regardless, all of those things combined, this is so ingrained in current history and so close to us that I think we all know the result. Cats was panned universally. It
Yes.
currently has an aggregate critic score of 19% on Rotten Tomatoes and an aggregate audience score of 53%.
How does it have 53?
There are those theater kids who are like, no, I still like cats.
Right, but I like G.I. Joe Redemption. Like, I watch that movie once every 2 months.
Go and rate
Which
it.
is just, like
your
somebody
voice.
else's cats.
Yeah. In interviews after the movie had finally premiered, Taylor Swift, whose contract stipulated that she was to record an original song for the movie, Beautiful Ghosts, a song in reaction to Jennifer Hudson's performance of Memory, Taylor Swift referred to Cats as that weird movie,
Even though it was her calling.
her calling.
Okay. It was
It's
her
a-
calling to be
it's
on the weird movie.
My privilege. My privilege. My privilege forgets what their calling is. They have a calling, and then 4 days later, it's a new one.
I'm the
But
kind of white
Jennifer
girl that can hold both.
Hudson's rendition of Memory was beautiful.
It was.
It was incredible. It was wonderful. It was great.
And didn't need a follow-up.
Exactly.
That's an agent, by the way. That's agent mentality. Like, agents are like, well, it's Taylor, and we've got to have her do an original song in Cats. Well, you won the
40-year-old
battle there,
musical.
big dog.
Yep.
Did Andrew Lloyd Webber have anything to do with this film?
I'm going to get to that later, Mary.
Okay. All right.
But after this premiere and after the terrible reviews, an interesting phenomenon occurred with Cats soon after it opened. Alamo Draft Houses started showing Cats, and tickets sold out right away.
Well, yeah, that's a place to go see Cats.
Yeah.
Beer, friends, and a movie. And you probably can yell or heckle
Oh.
without people getting
I was going to
mad.
say, this has tones of the
here
room
we
coming
go.
into it.
Right? It's like Rocky Horror Picture Show, but you bring your words to throw.
It seems that during the shutdowns, during the COVID-19 pandemic, Cats became a movie that many found as a source of distraction in that it was so flabbergasting that there now seem to be two kinds of people: those who have seen Cats and those who haven't. Here's how one viewer described it. From the second the movie starts, you feel like everything you know about reality is over. It's just so truly baffling. How many great people said yes to it? How many people wrote checks for it? I was so entertained by the complexity. Why do they have shoes on? Why do the female cats have boobs? How did they get Idris Elba? There are just so many questions.
It's the movie you love to hate.
But no, it's not even love to hate. I sat my whole family down, including our dog, and we were gonna hate Cats. We're gonna hate watch.
Yeah.
And it was so demoralizing to my theater soul.
Again, I still haven't seen it,
Well-
and I probably never will. I'm just not interested.
You might have to.
You might have to.
Admit, I'm now
It's like when somebody
Cat's curious.
holds out your finger and they're like, "This smells really weird. Smell this," and you
Oh.
smell it, and it's like, "Well, that does smell." It's like, I know how people feel about it. I trust you. You're an educated individual. I'm sure I'd have the same opinion.
There were just choices that were completely, like, I sat through this with a woman who walked beside me last week, and not even 10 minutes into it, she goes, "Stop." I said, "What?" She goes, "How far are we into this?" She's just, "This is awful, but we have to do this. We have to stick through it." And we did. There were things like Idris Elba plays McCavity, the villain, I guess, and somehow he has the magic to just wave a hand over you and you turn to dust and disappear and then reappear on a barge in the middle of the Thames.
No, but that's the other cat.
No,
But the other cat is magic.
no.
Not this cat.
No, he has magic.
There are
No,
rules,
he has
damn
magic
it.
too. He has magic too.
No.
And that's just it.
I have a somewhat important question to
Sure.
ask, since you viewed the movie. When it comes to gummies, sativas or indicas?
Just a reminder that campus is federal jurisdiction.
Right, and the Community College of Denver has a cannabis science program and a cannabis business program. If you're interested in
the
working in the
samples
cannabis
home.
industry, please contact me. I'll connect you to the business
Take the
pathway.
samples off campus.
Here, Chuck, I think I can answer that for you. Andra, who's not necessarily a theatrical person, asked me, "Do you have to be on LSD to enjoy this?" And 30 minutes in, she goes, "I don't think LSD would improve this at all."
No, I think it sounds like an indica. It sounds like you kind of just need to be like, I'm in an accepting space of
out.
someone else's weird thoughts.
Here's another review from just an audience attendee. Cats is like an experience where everyone walks in as strangers but leaves as family.
You said but.
Because the experience is so weird that it's unifying.
Trauma
An
bonding.
entire room of people goes through that experience, and then we're looking at each other and nodding and sharing knowing smiles of like, that was crazy.
Like a near-death
There's some
experience.
bathhouses in Denver where you can have the exact same experience.
It's where you find your true friends.
The event developed into sold-out crowds at every showing where people came dressed in furry costumes,
Oh, God.
bought
No.
drinks.
Yes.
Bought,
Go to Alamo Draft House
Yep,
to do this.
Bought drinks from a full menu of milk-based cocktails.
Oh.
Viewers brought props like confetti to be thrown when their favorite characters came on stage. There were drinking games for when certain mishaps occurred on screen, and karaoke sing-alongs.
Yes.
I mean, I love the camaraderie, but I'm a little offended on Rocky Horror's behalf. I'm like,
Yes, me too.
I do that show every year.
I know, it's so good. Very different than this, though.
Quite the surprising turnaround, but of course the mania didn't last. Today, it seems something of a test of endurance. But once you've seen it, you understand the air quotes hype.
I agree.
Sounds like a Dane Cook show. Oh, that's an old friend. That's an old friend. That's an old friend. You saw him in the 90s, you get it.
Yeah, I sure did enjoy those bedazzled flare pants. One final note, and Mary, this answers your question. Andrew Lloyd Webber has completely disavowed the movie. Here are some quotes from him. Cats was off the scale all wrong. There wasn't really any understanding of why the music ticked at all. I saw it and I just thought, oh God, no. It was the first time in my 70-odd years on this planet that I went out and I bought a dog. So the one good thing to come out of it is my little Havanese puppy.
Oh. But he wasn't even asked to consult or anything.
No,
was
I don't
he
think so.
invited?
Who in their mind goes you know what? We should add a song to an Andrew Lloyd Webber play.
I think we can improve on this.
What America needs, the whole globe needs, is a pop star adding a song to an Andrew Lloyd Webber play.
But maybe that was the
He probably
misstep.
doesn't have enough skill. I mean, he's got to get a few under his belt before, he can let Taylor do the whole show without singing her own song.
Right? But maybe that was the fuck up, is Andrew Lloyd Webber was just it's a show about cats.
It's a show
and
about
then
cats.
they tried to make the movie so much more and do other stuff with it. And it's nah, should have just been about cats.
Hey, you want to hear another cute story about Andrew Lloyd Webber's dog?
Sure.
Okay. He even managed to find a way to travel on an airplane with the dog during the COVID-19 pandemic.
Oh.
Excellent.
Quote, I wrote off and said I needed him with me at all times because I'm emotionally damaged and I must have this therapy dog. And the airline wrote back and said, can you prove that you really need him? And I said, yes, just see what Hollywood did to my musical Cats. Then the approval came back with a note saying, no doctor's report required.
Hello.
Yeah.
And for better or for worse, that's the story of cats and whether or not it's any good at all.
Well, this podcast has 9 lives, I'll tell you that.
So yeah, I don't know. I don't know if we can come to a conclusive, universal answer to that question.
Is Cats the Nick Cage of musicals?
Whoa!
I'm thinking objectively of the Community episode.
Okay.
Where Abed asks the question, is Nick Cage a good actor?
Well, he has an Oscar.
Yeah, he's
Plenty of people have Oscars.
I think he was very good in Moonstruck.
Yeah.
He is.
Yeah.
I also am a huge Nick Cage fan.
Okay.
But yeah, he kind of exists in that weird liminal space of he doesn't adhere to what we see as the rules of a good actor, right?
So
He's
Nick
over on the
Cage,
other side.
Mary Kennedy and Cats 2. Do you go see it?
All
Well-
3 shows on the same stage at the same time, yes.
Right. Or would you go see Mary Kennedy Midlife Mood Swing this spring? Tickets on sale at the AHAC
Well,
box
considering
office.
I get a discounted ticket with my
$25
CCD
yeah.
ID and free validated parking for the day, yeah.
I don't know. I
Talk
guess,
to my agent. Cats too. Why not?
yeah, sure.
I
sure.
mean,
Yeah.
As long as we're talking about, body positive cats and everything, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's about cats. Cats love
It's
the
about
tummies.
cats. Well, and
Mary,
see-
does a young actress, a new actor, say yes or no to the audition?
Is it her calling?
What do you
for
do?
cats?
Yeah.
Well, here's the deal.
You
I
coach
say
a lot
yes
of
to.
people?
Yeah, I coach a lot of people. I say yes to every audition because I'm a character actor. And
Right,
so
okay.
I would say, yeah, say yes. Say yes. Here's the thing, where you can say no are things that come up with nudity if you're not going to be covered properly. You can say no if there's sort of drug paraphernalia that you're not comfortable with or a religious conviction. But I think for the most part, every audition that you audition for or get asked to audition for, you should go for it and see what happens. Because you don't know. I mean, listen, I'm the type of character actor, I would be going from Shameless to Cats 2. I don't think anyone's going to go crazy. I mean, you know what I mean? It's not I'm not Dame Judi Dench. I mean, I'm a worker among workers. You know what I mean? I would do it in a heartbeat.
Right. I
But
asked,
Yeah.
you know, you think of that musical theater kid or the tech theater student who's like, well, Cats, it's so terrible. I should say no to the audition because the in crowd would want me to say no. And I think the answer is quite the opposite. Like, allow that noise to happen about the thing, but go do that audition for something.
if I was on tour, if Cats 2 was a movie, that's one thing. That's like a certain amount of time. If I was on tour with Cats 2, I would need my therapist on speed dial because I would have to talk to my therapist every day to get
movie,
through
I
it.
just
But I
need
would
to
do
do
it
once.
I would do it, and because I like to
Come in and
work.
shoot my scene sometime.
Yeah.
See?
Go in,
Right.
do it once, you leave. They get to do it again later without you.
And then
Yeah.
a craze starts.
Me and the cast, we went for tea this morning, and 3 of them ate their bowl on the floor. It's embarrassing.
I'm all about method, but that cast took it too far. When I went into the meetings and they were crawling on the floor and licking their.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
Yeah, it did. It went to lengths that nobody in the original stage musicals, I think, went to. In the original stage musicals, there was that air of, let's kind of curate what has come before and made this show interesting as far as the choreography, the costuming, which is very revealing, but you're talking about a lot of Broadway dancers who have the physique that people will be like, that I can see on Broadway. I think as far as spectacle is concerned, and I think when you think of it as a show that can appeal to a tourist trade, when people who may or may not know a lot about theater, but they go to the Broadway and they see the musical and
they have the merch. They have something to bring home.
Any foreign country, and you're here visiting, and you're not an English speaker, then off you go to Cats.
You see Cats and you
Yeah.
went, that was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And you have
no
the
idea what
merchandise. You
happened.
have an artifact of
Yeah.
like I did this and at that place that one
I
time.
got the mug, I got the
Yeah.
poster, I have the
very
hoodie.
important glowy stick.
Yeah.
God.
Well, and it's a dancer's musical, and dance, as we all know, being in the theater, is the great unifier. I mean, everyone will watch dance. So I just have an issue with the methodness of it all. Like, I just wanted these people to be real people for a minute and not be cats all the time.
Yeah, it's paperwork time. Let's just.
Yeah. I think method acting
Let's
could
go.
be its
Let's get the
own
paperwork done.
episode. Entirely on its
I've
own.
had so many times when we start talking about method on the show, it's like, so how many quarts of milk will be brought to my dressing room before I can get into the costume?
Right.
That will have digital fur added to it.
Right. How did Cats play Zip Zap Zop? Like,
Oh my God. Because like once you're in the industry, you know what method is, but then like culturally out in the world, there's like a capital M method, and it's like, no, don't touch that one. Just no, stop.
Well, and the set for the movie was so interesting too. Like the set of the musical is set to look like there's kind of a bunch of junk
Yeah.
on stage, and it's multi-purpose and it's
And it's to scale.
featured. Yes, and it's to scale. They did that in the movie as well, but they went like everywhere in like alleys in where these cats might live, and you're like, I don't care about that.
Yep.
Show me what you can do with just this space. And then I go, wait, should we have adapted this? Is it something that can be adapted?
It works best on stage.
So maybe it should have been, I saw, Hamilton on stage when they filmed it, right?
Yeah.
And they aired it. Maybe it would have been better to have Cats, the musical, taped and filmed and put out there that way.
There you go. Mass audience. Well, now we figured it out.
Yeah.
I see where they went wrong.
I love Cats. It is objectively bad.
Okay, there we go. All right. Any final thoughts, gang?
it's the cat's meow.
I don't get it.
What?
I don't understand it.
Eh?
I
Listen,
get it.
every
Milking
theater
it for all it's
kid,
worth.
every
Well
theater
done.
kid should experience Cats if they can. I
It
mean,
is the gateway musical.
Yes. Yeah. And that doesn't bring up
And
fans.
then take a business class.
That's a whole different. That's middle school.
All right. Well, my panel, Keylee Anderson, Chuck Roy, Mary Kennedy, thank you so much for joining me on this episode. I really appreciate it. We got a lot of interesting stuff said today. But I'm going to go ahead and sign out on this one. And hey, audience and listeners, if you like the show today, go out and subscribe wherever you get your podcast, download the hell out of it, rate and review episodes, and show us just how much you love the show by scanning that QR code on your playbills and giving a very generous donation. In this case, I'm signing off for Keylee Anderson, for Chuck Roy, for Mary Kennedy. Another episode will be in your ears in another 2 weeks, and I will see you at intermission.
Go City Hawks.
Go City Hawks, and come see Midlife Mood Swings. Did we talk about that?
You're good.